on my shoes and boarded the plane. Touchdown. All right, glowers. We are getting it on today. We are doing some deep digging. We are doing some glowing. We are doing some glowing up. Let's get it ready. But do you feel the way I feel? Something goes to us on you never knew. Follow him up to the kitchen. Yo, I'm listening. I don't know what it is about this song. I'm so glad that it popped up into my feed because let me tell you, when I was in 7th grade, I was like, Dad, I've got to go. I've got to go to Memphis because, y'all, I used to talk to my dad a lot. I was definitely a daddy's girl. So some people have asked me, they're like, you're always talking about your daddy like your mama wasn't around. My mom was definitely around, but my dad he did a lot of very on hand stuff, and he used to, he did a lot of the transporting back and forth from school, and he just listened to a lot of my stories. My dad, we used to go on summer trips all the time, and he would do the driving mostly, and my mom and the rest of us would sleep, or the rest of the kids would sleep, but I always was like his reliable one that would stay up with him. And, I would be good for about 4 or 5 hours, and I would just talk his ear off. And I remember when the song hit, I just knew. And the first time I ever did, because I had to transfer in Memphis a couple of times for a layover. My ex-husband, he went to school. He finished out his bachelor's at Arizona State. So, I had a couple of layovers in Memphis, and the first time I came out, I was just like crying because, man, this was in my head, right? Y'all, where we at? Let's get our glowers in. Let me check some emails, if you don't mind. Because I know sometimes, it's wonky with the timing of everything. So we'll see. In the middle of the pouring rain. Y'all, let me tell y'all, it just, it is something about that song, especially when the end comes in like that, right? When the end is in like that, it's like, beautiful. So something about, I think, just that time period with music. And I'm a very, large music just lover. My first ambitions in school and college were to be, I was supposed to be a sports journalist, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do radio because I love music. I love music. I love to sing. I love the, I tried to write. I'm not the greatest of writers, but I've tried to write a couple of times. So still waiting for a couple of people to get in. And that a lot of people as well, which is interesting. 5 every Wednesday. So definitely remember that live at 5. And I'm just looking for my glower, as I always do. Y'all see, we got some company. And y'all, we are in the back room today because, of course, like I told you guys, I'm packing. So my front room is like a mess. It's cluttered. I don't even have any place to kind of set nicely up. Everything is crazy in that front room. So leave the night, I live and die this way. Now, I was encouraged to do this topic particularly today because I have been, um, like I'm sure to most of you, just getting a lot of into a lot of conversations regarding relations, race relations, and where we are with everything. And I also have been tuning in to some other, I like to say they're more intellectual YouTube hosts. And last night I was on for Harriet, and when she said she had gotten about, um, she had in her time, I think she was on for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, but she had gotten about um, $1,500. People just doing the PayPal and supporting and her Cash Apping or what have. I don't think she was checking her Cash App. It was just literally the support on the screen. And I'm not linked to PayPal, so I haven't gone that route. But I will say I was just very excited with seeing the conversation because everybody just like kept like really saying, "Hey, this should start your reparations fund." And I was like, you know what? I haven't really we haven't engaged that in a while. That's definitely something that has been a topic before, like with my immediate group of people, but not with uh my glowers. A general, conversation has always exceeded out. And there's always something big that happens. Hey, put up your glower. All right. Thanks so much, Black Princess. My moderator is here, y'all. We can commence. We can party. But we are talking about reparations today. We're talking about what's going on with it. Black Princess. We're talking about, and this is my sis here, y'all. In case y'all don't know, we have been, pushing pretty strong in regards to, yes, one of our glowers, in regards to bringing topics that affect Black women to light and to the forefront. And I have loved her mission. She's joined on with my mission. So it's just been awesome. We are growing the glow and we're growing our faithful family. So I am going to stop the music because I don't want to delay that any further. But yeah, we're getting into it today. We're talking about reparations. I was just going over talking about how I was really encouraged last night. I think on for Harriet's live, her real name is Kim, and I always remember that because that's my sister's name, one of my sister's names. But she had about 2,000 people on that live, and I was like, "Now that's live." And of 2,000 people, she had she had about 1,500. So literally every person on that live at least gave $1. One guy said, or over the course of the hour, he gave at least 600, and he was a guy, so that was very cool. So, Black Princess, I was just sharing with them that, you might notice the background is different because I am in the back room, not the front room. The front room is it's not trash, but it's littered. It's completely littered with boxes, towels, literally everything in the house that I could wash. Yesterday, I washed. I just want to be completely boxed up, just waiting to confirm the movers and that sort of thing. So, at any rate, moving on into our conversation a bit. Reparations, what is it? Why is it? And why now is a great time for it? So, reparations, as you all know, I know, right? It's so bland, but thank you for saying it's all right. Let me give you another jewel for your crown, sis. as you all may know, reparations, this is one of the first misconceptions that I have heard about reparations that I want to remind people of when they say, oh, we're never going to get that. First of all, we did get it. It was given. We did get 40 acres, and we got workers, not just mules, to help us with, that either we could employ our families. And when I say we, I mean, descendants of slaves, our slaves that were no longer slaves, but formerly known as slaves. We could use the land and the inhabitants of the land to help maintain the land. Like, that was literally it was written into law. So when you say reparations will never be given, it was given. It was given. So the point of saying reparations is saying, well, we just want back what was given. Now, what happened to get reparations taken away was the president that came after that succeeded the president after Lincoln. He basically rescinded everything. So just imagine you were told, hey, the house you're living in, this is, Obama, for lack of a better, representative, we're going to use Obama. But imagine he was told, hey, you're going to be able to own your home, where it stands, right? Thank you so much. You're going to be able to own your home as it stands. Right. So you own your home. So what happens is now, all of a sudden, you don't own your home when Trump got back in office. He said, you know what? I know the previous president told you, and I heard he doesn't refer to him as president, person, as person. So the previous person said that you own your home, but no, you don't own your home. So now what happened was it got taken back. So with it being taken back, now it never got returned back. So it got taken back. You went from now owning the home to now the bank owning the home again. And, the bank is being nice and saying, well, you don't have to move out of the house, but yes, you do have to go back to paying your rent. So was when the U.S. was in the war with who? You talking about when we were in the Civil War? Okay. But all right. So then with that being said, now your people are able to come in. When I say your people, your family, your children, they're now able to come and live in this home, but they don't own this home, and they never owned a home since you were given the home and it was rescinded. So, I don't like to use the word, but if y'all spade players, I know you do. So that's a brief history. The fact of the matter is that it was given. We did achieve it, and it was taken back from us. Okay. So where are we now? So we're, hundreds of years later now, with the reparations becoming just almost like a folklore, almost like, it's a pie in the sky. But that's why I said one of the biggest misconceptions, the fact that we'll never get it. The people don't realize that we had it. We actually did have it. So now it is just a matter of getting it back, back into back on the dockets. There have been a few movements that have gained some slight attention over the past, few years in regards to the reparations discussions. I think that wholeheartedly, the intention might have been great. The interest might have been, of course, there was some peak in interest, but the real crutch of it does not ever get addressed because of the fact that there is nothing to lose with who is going to bat for it, right? When I was running for office, a former council member actually pulled me Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I know a lot of people are going back to the drawing board right now when it comes to this discussion, right? Because that's what name of the game is. Everyone says that like, yeah, it's not going to be. It may not be money. It may not be money, but it could it be free housing? Could it be what can it be? And we don't know. But now is the time to start getting it in order on what those demands are, because there has never been a time that like such as this, that people are listening. They're listening again, and the reason why they're listening is, as you all know, because of what is going on nationally. What's going on nationally right now with the riots, well, what I call protests. I don't call them riots, but what's going on with the protests, what's happening with the civil unrest. There have been some giants woken up right about now. And I don't know where everybody stands spiritually, but I'm speaking spiritually as well. There have been some giants that have woken up, and that, this heinous murder in the crux of a string of them have really incited a lot of people. And when I say they've incited the right people, I'm going to put it quite frankly, they've incited the white people. Because quite honestly, with leading the conversation and who has been on the forefront of leading the conversation, it's a, Corinne Stephens had a saying in her book, "It's not my fault, but it is my problem." It's not Black people's fault that we, don't have reparations, but it is our problem. Absolutely. And so if you can appreciate what that means, with it not being your fault, but being definitely your problem, then you can understand to the totality what's happening right now with white people leading a lot of these riots. They're leading the conversation. Some of the most, insightful and just alarming posters that I've seen since, I've been covering and watching what's happening with the riots, have been white people holding them up. And I just think that's the way it should be. Yeah, I remember being at it was what was it? A forum, I guess is the best way to describe it. It was a forum about affordable housing. And one of the biggest developers in the city was there. And he said, well, we can't policy our way out of this. And I'm saying, oh, yes, we can, because we policyed our way into it. You gerrymandered, you use, your knowledge of redlining, you use certain things to your benefit that were policies in order to get certain developments approved, and approved at a very economically efficient, effective agreement for yourself, and you were able to take advantage of that through policy. And so to say that, well, we're not going to policy our way out of it, how dare you? I just think that that's such a big, it's such a big slap in the face, so to speak, that when people can honestly think that you can spend 400 years. Oh, the fact that just look at this number and not look at it stopped, but we're just talking about 400 years legally, of slaves. That this was done with any type of with any type of civil discussion, with any type of agreeable attitude. To think that this was done and people were just like, oh, okay. Okay. No, you know how it had to be done. We're talking about just brutal, complete, brutal system, formula put in place for place after place, after plantation after plantation, city after city, town after town. This had to be a general consensus, and it had to be something that was, agreed upon and enacted by multitudes of families for it to continue for 400 years. For 400 years, people had to understand that if they did not comply, they would lose their life, or they would lose a family member. 400 years of not being able to comfortably raise your own children, of the fear that they're going to be sold off. 400 years of knowing that your wife is not your wife. Your wife is a vessel for another person's seed. 400 years of not knowing who your parents were. And I don't want to hear anybody getting in on any type of a soapbox and challenging these statements and saying, well, what's going on right now with people not knowing this. You cannot afford for these conversations to not remain consistent with what has happened and what was enabled by the oppression of African Americans, with slavery as being the precipice. These were not no slight acts. These were not, these were not misdemeanors. These were not just, minor infractions. This was a complete degradation and demoralization of a entire demographic race of people. And for us to not, in this day and age, in this day and time, in 2020, not have a real conversation that is backed up with action, not just academic, intellectual, debates, but actual action, for that not to happen in 2020, we're beyond dropping the ball. That's why I am appreciative of when I see the white people on the front lines and out there, and they're saying they're using their privilege to our advantage. I am all for it. I am all for it. Now, I do agree. I hear what a lot of people say with the sentiment of there are certain things that we need to be doing for ourselves. I do agree with that. But guess what? Dying out there on the front lines ain't one of them, because we're doing that almost all the time involuntarily. How many involuntary martyrs have we had? With the Emmett Tills, with the Trayvon Martins, with the Jordan Davises, with the James Byrds. These people weren't stepping out to be front runners on race issues, but that's what they became. The girl and and Black Princess, let me know her name, because I know this happened on the West Coast, years ago. But the Black girl, the 14 or 15-year-old. Yes, Black women, we do need to stay home. That's why, please, and if you have any doubt, please go back and see my previous video where cancel the woke, but still increase your glow. Amen. Okay. But what was her name? Black Princess, the one that the store owner shot in the back of the head over $1.60 worth of orange juice because he thought she stole it. It was a she, right? It was a female that did the shooting. Thought that the 15-year-old, 14-year-old girl stole. These people weren't trying to be martyrs. Mike Brown wasn't trying to be a martyr. George Floyd wasn't trying to be a martyr, but they did it involuntarily. Okay, so the fact that we have some white people stepping up to be voluntary, to volunteer and be martyrs, absolutely, let them do it. Let them do it, because that is the only thing in this country that I think has been has been very consistent with what matters. You know, I was, of course, a journalist for many years. If it bleeds, it leads. You know, this is a common a common quote that was very much known around whatever newsroom and whatever establishment you're in. If it bleeds, it leads. And on the other flip side of that, green is the only thing that matters. You know, if it's making money, if it's making sense, that's what matters. So when we're in a point of duress right now, or we're at a crossroads and we're saying, well, how do we elicit these same type of emotions? How can we move this conversation forward? To think that you're going to do it. Latasha Harlins, thank you so much. Yes, put one up for the queen. Didn't want to be a martyr. Thank you so much, Black Princess. I knew you were going to be on it. Thank you so much. But didn't want to be a martyr. You know, so when we have some members of the, you know, from the complexion with the protection, let them lead the way, because if it's not red loss, or if it's not green loss, it doesn't matter. And that's where we are, America. And that's the truth of it. And the truth may hurt. The truth may so contagious. Y'all love that song. I know I did. But the truth may hurt, the truth may shock, but the truth still is the truth. You know, it's all about what you want to do with it. It's all about what you want to do with it. But it's undefeated. The truth is undefeated. So again, to think that we're going to have any type of progress, you know, without having the sacrifices that the same way the sacrifices were made then, the sacrifices are going to have to be made now. You know, it's just a matter of who is doing the sacrifices. And this is all biblical. Y'all know I stay in the word. Excuse me. I stay in the word. This is tried and true. This is tried and true. This is not something that, you know, I take lightly at all when I'm looking at things. And it's amazing how sometimes when I'm looking for just points of comfort, or I'm looking for something of confirmation in my life, I can look literally in just flip open to a scripture, and it can be something that is so right on the money with what's happening currently. It is no joke. It was written. That's why I also, as you all know, I pay such close attention to making sure that I do my journaling. You know, and I mean, sometimes I gotta be honest, sometimes I don't feel like writing. Sometimes I'm just really overwhelmed with the day, and I'm really overwhelmed with what all I have going on in my life, and things are pressing me. And I just don't even feel like it. But you know what, even if I just gotta get in there just to write a word, I write a word. And I'm telling you, it was written that, you know what, this can only last for so long. Weeping endured for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And it's about time, right? We got that joy up. I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I definitely wanted to hear some dialogue and some conversation in regards to, because believe it or not, I know that there's some people that are just, they're opposed to it. And they're opposed to it, I think, mostly because they just think it's not going to be given. They think that it just can't be done. I don't think that they're opposed to it because, you know, they don't want the money. They just think it's no sense in, you know, getting it. But I tell you what, you know, how many people play the lottery their whole lives? And how many people do you know that have actually won? Like personally, you know, like I know my mom actually, she used to play pretty consistently. And there would be spans where it went by, like literally, I remember 1 or 2 months it went by that, you know, she hit like the numbers to 3. She hit it like four or 5 times in the same month. And it was like, awesome. And she used to play high line, you know? So there were some times where, you know, she would gamble. She was a gambler, you know, she would take that chance. but she'd be willing to pay the money to take that chance. And that's where I'm saying that, some of us, we're not honest when we say, hey, let's take that chance, right? We're just like, oh, well, we're not going to get it. But these same people will play the lottery. How crazy is that? The same people will play the lottery. So I just think that it's time that we kind of get back to that honesty, and we just keep that same energy. We keep that same energy. Excuse me, I'm checking a message. We keep that same energy for the reparations. That, you know what, put your mental in creating a vision for being received. I mean, if any of you are into, manifestation, I'm getting a lot more glowers that are tuned in, and they are into manifesting. They are into being energy workers, light workers. Put that towards that energy, as opposed to saying, well, we're just not going to get that. That's just not realistic. That's not for us. Let's take that out, speaking that into the existence instead of out of the equation, out of the universe. So I've been in the book of Romans a whole lot. I don't know why I'm being called to lead. Why I'm being led there, but I have been in the book of Romans pretty consistently over the past, couple of days, and have definitely been very comforted by what is said about there just being consistency. So those are my thoughts. I'm definitely for it. I'm definitely also for white people leading the conversation, leading the activism with it. I agree with what you said, Black Princess. A Black woman, I'm at home where I need to be. Even my daughter this morning, she was like, I want to go to these protests. And I was like, girl, no, you don't. And y'all, I'm the same person that when I was, 7-8 months pregnant, I walked street by street in Charlotte, getting people registered to vote, encouraging people to vote for Barack Obama. And I remember one lady, she said, aren't you afraid, that something might happen with you out here, And I said, something like what, because, it's what, Charlotte. But she said, well, what if you have the baby? What if you, go into labor? And I said, that would be an honor that, I'm having a baby, or I go into labor on the trail of stomping for, our first African-American president. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, and especially because this was the second term, so he wouldn't have been first, but this is for a second term. I was pregnant with my son. So I was like, this is scripture. This is written. This is biblical. This is not, this is not odd. This isn't weird. This is biblical. So I'm definitely for it. I think sometimes people think that I'm not, because, in the past I've never not been for, but in my past, I think because of company that I have kept and certain circles that I ran in, people thought that, they had to twist it. Like I said, I've always been very consistent, but I think outsiders looking in thought one way about what my political or what my views about certain issues were. And no, this Courtney, Courtney Omega, is the same person that people knew when I was 9-10 years old. I'm the same one. I was always, doing my little rah-rah and quoting my strong things. So, like I said, I'm not going to belabor the point too much longer, because I know a lot of people have resumed their usual schedules. And I know they're having a big discussion on another platform regarding Barack Obama possibly running as the vice president to Joe Biden. that's such a desperate move, but I guess, Creepy Joe, Sleepy Joe has got to pull it any way he can. And I might hop over to that discussion, but probably not. I have some things I still definitely need to work on. I'm in my worship workshop today. I am getting emails left and right. We have our first council meeting coming up again on Monday, and I definitely wanted to contribute some items to the agenda for that. But definitely time is winding down. In this current place, definitely looking forward to the next, and very encouraged with the conversations that I am hearing, because they're ending with action. They're leading to action. People aren't just sitting back and just, saying, well, it's not going to happen because da 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 da, because da 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 da. People are speaking so with their actions in this moment. And when Trayvon Martin happened, I was actually in Georgia, but it just seemed like everybody was moving towards, okay, let's just make sure that these, everybody talks about rogue cops, vigilante cops, people that want to be cops, and the mindset of these cops, and the mindset, instead of really going back to where all of this, a lot of our issues really stem from, is not putting the value on Black bodies. America not putting value on Black bodies. We've been used as capital. We've been used as barter, but the very little value was put into us. And reparations was the first time where this historical content was, this historical conception was put into constructive content. This is the worth. This is our body. So I'm going to drop some links once this post. You all know how I do it. I'm going to drop some links to some current arguments about reparations. Of course, I'm sure if any of you follow this, if you follow this topic, you know that TC Coates did a very, very convincing piece about reparations. I want to say about 3 years ago. It still very much is discussed, a discussion topic. I'm going to put the link to that. And if you all notice on the thumbnail for this video, that was a Malcolm X card. That is my card. You can't see my name at the bottom for obvious reasons. But that is my card, and it is my name. And there's some other, parts that you can't see because, like I said, for obvious reasons. Not trying to have, my stuff charged to my Malcolm. But that is my card. So that's the way I want mine uploaded. You can upload it right to my X card. Okay? So until next time, you guys, you know what to do. You know what to do. If you found anything constructive about this particular video, please like, please share, please comment, and get the discussion moving, because this is the only way that we can really drive this vehicle forward. But this is a real thing. This is a real this was a real happening. And so if it was a real happening before, it's absolutely a real happening again. Get your glow up, right? All right. And so until next time, you guys know what to do. Glow up.